These are the top 5 best heroes in Deadlock. We'll talk about the advantages of using these type of characters in your games, alongside how to use them, and their pick rates and win rates for your games. So make sure to hit that like button on this video to show that support for more Deadlock content. And number 5, it's going to be Ivy. This character already has so many advantages. It looks like a support character initially, but is able to deal so much damage at the same time. The character's kit does consist of a slowing mechanic through his bomb, and alongside that, he does have a healing mechanic through his stun mechanic as well. So he's able to stun targets and heal at the same time, a percentage of max HP, which gives him great sustain. Alongside that, he has a tether mechanic, which then also increases his fire rate and his teammates' fire rate, and does a lot of damage in fights and heals too. So that's really fun to utilize in any type of situation when playing Ivy. And then his ultimate, which makes him incredibly sweaty and definitely slippery, as he's able to escape around corners quite quickly. Or this could be your main form of engage, as you're able to do a massive area effective damage as you release a bomb when flying towards a target, or carry a teammate, which will do the exact same effect as you drop them to a fight. And it's really cool that he does have these mechanics at play, and it gives him a lot of versatility. And if you do decide to max out this ability, you do get a silence on hit as well. So anyone in that area effect will be silenced for 4.5 seconds, and that's a great tool to utilize within a fight or the very start of it. So you can really adapt to the gameplay and what's happening in the game, and then match your abilities to that and what you max out in your order. Alongside the items, they work really well on this character. You can pretty much build anything, and it's going to work out pretty darn well. Right now, I believe it's the fire rate damage builds that are going on with Ivy that work really nicely. Ivy's pick rate is at 41.5%, and Ivy's win rate is at 51.3%. So definitely a good chance for you to be able to pick the character and play the character within Deadlock. The fourth character, which is a great surprise, and I think it's because of the recent buffs that she did receive in the latest patch, and that is Haze. Haze's win rate is at 51.5%, the pick rate is at 88.5%. So a lot of players are picking this character and gravitating towards it due to the character's kit being so fun to play. And I can understand how fun it is, especially at the lower levels, because she's a noob killer. She essentially goes stealth, has invisibility to her favor, and is able to find targets and completely shred them. And with a headshot build, which many people do gravitate towards, alongside her ability, one of her passives that does more increased damage when you get headshot stacks or just shots on the character's body, either or, and that will stack up to a large amount, increasing your damage output overall. And it feels great, especially when you're isolating one target and destroying them, or destroying their backline, and that's what she does very well. But Haze in the high levels, I do feel like she has a bit of a challenge, depending on the positioning of this player when they do use Haze, because if Haze gets caught in any instance, she's just deleted. She's so squishy, she can get deleted instantly. There's other builds that can be more tanky or have more resistance and still do DPS, but usually I see squishy, DPS, and that's all that matters. So pretty much a glass cannon. But two of her abilities are very important. They'll change the game drastically, especially if she's snowballing, because you can pretty much rotate between lanes and get a couple of kills, but her abilities do help out. One of them obviously being invisibility, but I'm not going to consider that just her base skill. That's just who she is. She goes invisible. But her first ability being her dagger that puts players to sleep, this is crazy clean. You can use it in any point in the game to put someone to sleep and just ignore them, or use this as a point of engagement. Stun someone, make them fall asleep, then you'll be able to shoot down a target when you're right next to them and get that headshot multiplier and make sure they die. So that's great to see. That's a fun thing to do for ganks especially. But then she has an ultimate, which changes team fights as well. As strong as, say, a Singularity from Dynamo is able to stun targets, keep them in place, she does the exact same thing, but with damage and no CC. So she does a shit ton of damage, which is an area effect around the character, and it will shred them completely with perfect accuracy. So that's why the character is very strong in those situations, especially if there's distractions from her team, aka other tanks, other supports, annoying the enemy team, and she just jumps in and ultis, and she'll do crazy damage. That's why she's so effective, especially at the low levels, but also can be effective at the high levels if she doesn't get CC'd completely, and CC being crowd control. Let's move on to number 3, and that's McGinnis. This character is very interesting, with a win rate of 52.6 and a pick rate of 63%. She does so much, and it feels effortless. Like, there's one mechanic that you need to get more precise on, and that's the wall mechanic. So she's able to put a wall, like made from Overwatch, and block sectors of a match, or a pathway, or a team fight. And that could be the dividing chance of you winning your games a lot more. with that ability. But alongside it, she carries a minigun, which you can build into it further to increase its fire rate and also its ammo capacity, so you just keep destroying enemies with high damage off your weapon damage. So that's really fun to utilize, and we have a gameplay on the channel, double check that one, because we popped off, and this character felt so fun to play because of that. So that's one thing to keep in mind, high damage. Then utility is great as well. You have control through your turrets, which you're able to utilize to target enemies around you, but also control some of the battlefield. In the early laning phase, it does help out here and there, nothing too drastic, but in mid game to late game, it becomes much more effective with your healing ability, because your healing ability can also increase the fire rate of units, which the turrets you place are classified as units, and their fire rate will also increase while you're standing in it as well, so you get a fire rate increase on your weapon damage, and the turrets get damage increase as well. It goes kind of nutty, and people get really scared to actually jump your character because of your high damage output, which you can shock enemies pretty quickly. And then she has her ultimate. When she's from afar, she's able to use her rockets to barrage enemies and also applies a slow on the targets and does quite a bit of damage too. It's kind of finicky with the terrain of the map, but it does work out pretty well, especially in the open lanes, and you just destroy enemies pretty quickly with it. But I didn't use this as much because we had so much raw damage from our weapon damage and the rest of our kit that this ultimate had no use for me. But it is useful here and there if you want to slow down targets, especially if you're weak on HP and you're in the back line and you're trying to disengage, but you still want to fight. This is the ability that you do utilize the barrage of rockets to help out the team for victory. The second best hero in Deadlock is Warden, with a win rate of 55.4% and a pick rate of 50.5%. So you could be able to have a chance to pick the character and also get some guaranteed wins since it's so high up on the win rate. Alongside that, the character's kit is very good. It's very strong. You can build into pretty much everything, but it just works really nicely because you can get spirit damage increase or tanky benefits or supportive / utility items, and it'll work out greatly in lane phase and in team fights to make sure you win those games. He has the ability to slow down targets while increasing his movement speed, having range components with his main weapon, which makes it easy to last hit and be aggressive as well. And then he has a ultimate that does pulse damage around him and a lockdown ability that curses enemies and puts them in place for 2 seconds or so. That is crazy strong. So there's a lot of synergy as a character to have so much in their kit, and it's insane. But alongside that, if you're in a dual lane and your teammate has a stun, that stun on the initial target, while Warden has cursed them, they'll get another immobilize on the target, which keeps them locked down for maybe around 4 seconds or so in lane phase, and that is crazy. That can change a whole fight into your favor quite quickly. And then he has a lot of debuffs that you place on the enemy. As he levels up his abilities, you get items that help out with that as well, to debuff the enemy even further, while you do a lot of pulse damage with your ultimate, and maybe you get Torment, which is another item that does area effective damage of zapping targets with your ultimate, and it just feels great. There's a lot of damage, a lot of uses, very strong character, and he deserves the second place. And at number 1, the best hero in Deadlock is no other than 7. I call this character bullshit because of how strong it actually is, and they've nerfed it, but it's still bloody strong. It has a pick rate of 92%, a win rate of 56.7%. So the highest win rate in the game, is very effective, and a lot of players are playing this character, and the evidence shows that he's busted. He's absolutely too strong. Even after nerfs, he's still too strong. He's a powerhouse, and he is a noob killer. Yes, people, that is always going to come up as a conversation, that he's a noob killer. But with combinations like Ivy, which is Ivy is able to carry the character when he's channeling his ult 7 and then zap targets in area effect continuously, it is very oppressive towards a enemy team when that combination is being used. And 7 in general is just very strong. His Stormcloud did get buffed, which makes it better for him in lane phase, which guarantees him kills, which also makes it easier for him to snowball. So that's something to keep in mind. Then he has a stun, which is able to be placed onto a target, and they'll be stunned or knocked down for like a second or so. And that's enough for a big play to happen or be capitalized on that stun. And then he has shock damage through his base attacks, and then he shocks all enemies with his ultimate. It's just a lot of damage. Absolutely a lot of damage that's so free. He just has to press a couple buttons, press ultimate, and just win. That's what he does, and it works out effortlessly. So the only way he really gets stopped is by certain items. I believe knockdown does knock him out of his channeling ultimate. That's the only thing that you can really use right now to stop that from happening. But no one builds knockdown unless they're high-level players. So that's when the conversation of a tier list right now, or a top 5 list, can be kind of questionable, because depending on the player they're versing, some characters can be really busted, while other characters can be very weak, and vice versa, depending on your level of experience within this game. But 7 is just a strong character. If you want to play the character, I highly suggest doing it and enjoying it, because they will keep nerfing this character until it's nerfed to the ground. But I don't think it's a bad thing, Because either way, he will always have a use case scenario when he's going to be strong and be effective in a team fight. And that's the most important part. Majority of these characters are very effective in team fights, and 7 is one of them. And it works really well with Singularity, Ivy, and other characters that can help with CC lockdown in some way, because then he can just capitalize on it, zap all the targets, and get free damage. And that is the top 5 best heroes in Deadlock. Ivy at number 5, Hayes at number 4, McGinnis at 3, Warden at number 2, and 7 at number 1, with a 57% win rate. But tell me your opinions and thoughts in the comment section down below about this top 5 list. Do you want to see a personal top 5 list of my best heroes in this game, or the best heroes at a higher level of experience, so the high ranked matches that would be in the game if they were there, or the high MMR systems that are in place when you verse high competitive players? We can highlight the best characters there too. Tell me your opinions and thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, mates, it's been a pleasure, and I'll catch you, mates, next time. Bye-bye.